Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Our focus today is going to be on cells. In fact, this entire unit's focus is on the basis of life, that is cells. So hopefully you remember from one of our previous units that the cell is the basic unit of life. And now we're going to take some opportunities and some time and explore what cells look like on the inside, what different types of cells exist, and how do they function in order to allow us to be a multicellular living organism. So hopefully by the end of this video you should be able to explain how cells were discovered and the basic ideas behind cell theory. You should also be able to differentiate between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells and also be able to differentiate between plant and animal cells. Here are some key vocabulary terms here. We got cell theory, organelle, prokaryote, eukaryote, animal cell, plant cell, and of course, just cell. Let's get started. So the discovery of cells is actually a fairly recent phenomenon. Occurred in 1665 by a man with the name of Robert Hooke, and he used a very primitive microscope, as you see in the picture on the right. And when he looked under a slide, he had a small piece of cork on there, and a cork is a plant. Cork comes from a plant. And he noticed that there were individual little components there that looked like small rooms that were found in a monastery, and those were called cells, and he named them cells, and we still call them cells today. So cells are the basic unit of life and were discovered in 1665 by Robert Hooke. Now, there are some basic ideas behind the theory of cells and what cells are and how they function, and these are the three main postulates of cell theory. Is that all organisms are made of cells, regardless of whether they are made up of just one cell or made up of many cells. All living organisms have to be made of them. All cells must come from other cells, so in order to make new cells, cells have to reproduce to produce more cells. And that the cell is the most basic unit of life. So what different types of cells exist? Well, we really divide most cells into two main classes. We call them prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. The term prokaryotic literally means no nucleus. So things like bacteria are considered prokaryotes. If you look at it on the right-hand side, the nucleus is the central part of the atom that controls a lot of the cellular functions inside of a cell. Well, a prokaryote does not have one of those, as you can see on the picture on the right. Other types of cells include eukaryotic cells, which literally means good nucleus. And these contain nucleus as well as the term is membrane-bound organelles. We'll learn a little bit more about what that means a little bit later on. But eukaryotic cells include things like plant and animal cells. So as you see in the picture, the eukaryotic cell is far more complex than the prokaryotic cell. The eukaryotic cell contains quite a few organelles that help it perform a multitude of functions that prokaryotic cells cannot perform. So if we break eukaryotic cells down further, we'll notice that we have what are called plant cells and animal cells. Now, plant cells have a cell wall, a chloroplast, and a large water vacuole. Now, you may not understand exactly what those organelles are at this point, but just kind of keep in mind that plant and animal cells have some very significant differences between them. Animal cells do not have a cell wall. On the outside, they have what is called a cell membrane. They do not contain a chloroplast, nor do they have a large water vacuole. So animal cells are lacking a few things that plant cells do have, and the features of the plant cell make it unique so that it can perform certain cellular functions, while animal cells have other unique functionalities based on the organelles they have as well. So keep in mind that there are some significant differences here. In fact, three that I'm going to want you to know. Plants have a cell wall, chloroplast, and large water vacuole, and animal cells do not have any of those three things. So that's basically it for different types of cells, but just keep in mind that cells are the basic unit of life. Prokaryotic cells include bacteria and do not have a nucleus, and eukaryotic cells include things like plant and animal cells and do have a nucleus along with other membrane-bound organelles. Plant and animal cells differ in the outer membrane, the presence of different organelles, so keep that in mind despite the little typo you see at the bottom here. Hopefully you got a lot out of this video. Again, just a real quick overview of different types of cells. Hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you guys next time. Take care. Bye-bye.